We've got an interesting guest. His name is Paul, and we're going to have an interesting discussion in a few minutes. But first, we're going to start off with our little meditation. Yeah, okay. Just to center ourselves.
Okay, great.
It's just a silent one, Paul.
All right.
But I'll just take us into it. Just
okay.
a bit of breathing and just relaxing.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Okay. So just close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Just allow yourself to relax. And then just on each out breath, just allow yourself to relax a little bit more. When you're ready, you can slowly bring yourself out of meditation. Paul, welcome.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Russ? I'm sure that's quite unusual, meditating in front of the camera, Paul.
It's the first time for me.
Nothing like the first time. How does it feel? You feel a bit more centered?
Yeah, so this week I've been sort of focusing on my centeredness, trying to get out of my own head. So yeah, it's been perfect ending to the week. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So Paul, do you have a regular practice, like a spiritual practice that you like kind of a routine that you work with?
Not really a routine. I'm sort of in my own head a lot of the time. So there's a lot of processing going on in the head all the time.
Because you're also quite scientific in your
I suppose with the analytical and sort of spiritual meets,
tricky.
Yeah, it's unfortunately is a problem when you are in your head too much of the time as well. So this week I thought, let me take a break from myself, a bit of a holiday from myself. So.
And how do you do that? What does that mean?
I just try to purposefully get out of my own way.
Being aware.
Being present.
Being present.
Because I think, obviously the oscillation between future and past, we never centered in the present really, are we? So the mind is always going.
It's seesawing.
Yeah.
But do you when you? I know you were saying you started on your spiritual journey quite a number of years ago. What kind of got you on the path, Paul?
It's a strange question, but there's always been this sort of driving force, and that was my whole sort of direction in life, was this quest for truth, whatever that meant and wherever it took me. So often I've put sort of career to one side and that, or for the quest for this truth. So it's been my driving force. It's been sort of a very nebulous sort of thing, and I haven't been able to really put my finger on in any coherent way, but it sort of guided me through various
kind of modalities and things.
All sorts of things, So I think there's various forms of awakening that one goes through, and
different levels.
Depends where you start off, and then you sort of end up and you think you know a lot at certain points.
And then you realize you don't know much.
And then you have like an ego death, which just
it gives you a slap.
It gives you a slap and says, there's a bit of a perspective again, and so we start again. And then and it's quite a liberating area to be in that, generally in that sort of ego death space, because it breaks down a lot of the concepts and the things that you think.
The structures and things, or your belief systems.
Belief systems, absolutely.
Well.
One has to do that because it's the path is not outward. I think that's all. We all look outward and we all try and find it outwardly, but you have to turn it 180 degrees at some point and come back within.
And it takes a lot of introspection, but also a lot of awareness. Were you obviously meditating during that time and doing workshops and that kind of thing, or what were you doing, Paul?
Gosh, no, I was doing all sorts of things. I was a voracious reader, so I was looking for...
reading a lot of books.
Knowledge, obviously. I was involved with the Esoteric Center at one point. We had a discussion group where we looked at Advaita Vedanta, which was a little bit abstract for the...
What is it, a book?
Advaita is
I don't know.
It's a form of Hinduism.
Okay.
So it's non-duality basically.
Yes.
It's very like Eckhart Tolle is talking about that type of thing. But people find it very difficult to get past the there is no you.
Like this doesn't exist, etc. That kind of thing.
So it sort of takes you on an abstraction route past the
physical.
The story of self, basically. And not a lot of people get that type of thing.
But it takes time. And part of that is also the growth, your spiritual growth. And as you shed and your perspective changes, so you can come to realize those truths when you're ready for them.
Absolutely.
It takes time, isn't it? It's part of it evolves. I was fortunate enough to sit with a psychologist for many years as well. And she'd point out all those little things all the flipping day long and help me to see them and to process them. And through those awarenesses, you had these experiences and workshops, etc. So it's a holistic experience. But what I have found is that the awareness of thoughts, etc., and how you behave in certain circumstances, like when you get triggered or etc., those those things carry with you because it's a skill that you've learned.
Look, there's a tremendous amount of programming that happens, once you're born, and a lot of that programming is obviously transferred from previous generations as well. But you have to, at some point, I think this is where the awakening starts happening, where you've got to start deprogramming yourself from all this and getting rid of all these layers, like you're saying, and you get to a certain point, and then you think you've found it, and then
I've arrived.
And
then you fall straight. You like slip off the step again,
And then think, thank goodness for that, because if you haven't made any progress in 15 years, I don't think you're doing something right. Something's
that's
not,
true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago.
And in what way have those shifts assisted you on a personal level, Paul?
My goodness.
Like in the way, I don't know, your interaction with the world and other people, whatever the case is.
Like I said, there's a lot of programming, a lot of fear involved. The resentments, the relationship, judgments,
etc. All those things.
The feeling of superiority, because you're a spiritual person, and all these type of things. The whole ego-driven thing, and when you come to realize that what the ego is actually doing and how sort of deceitful it is, and it's there for a purpose. It's there to sort of drive the avatar through through this world, but it has its own motivations, and it's quite selfish, and it's quite eye-opening to realize that you are the selfish. You have been selfish.
So you see your ugly parts as well.
You have to.
You have to see your ugly parts.
And this is what Jung talked about. With the the dark night of the soul and that type of thing. And a lot of, I find, spirituality these days sort of tries to bypass that route, and you can't do that. They look at love and light, and they don't want to talk about.
They don't want to go into the ugly, gritty parts.
They don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And, you've missed out on half the equation, I feel, if you've done that, So it's not pleasant, but it's at the same time quite liberating, I feel. And, I've shed off a lot of that stuff that I was carrying.
And also, and emotions as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
me as well, I always kind of joke about it, but I cried for on and off for probably 10 years.
Yeah.
It took that until I get to a point where the stuff wasn't coming up anymore.
Yeah.
And I think we carry so much of a burden almost with, unexpressed emotions and anger and stuff.
Absolutely.
And that stuff is poison in our systems,
Absolutely.
on a physical level, but also just on a mental level and how we experience life in general, isn't it, Paul?
And that's absolutely key, what you've just said there, in terms of, because when we come to the physical, not many people sort of associate that spiritual, emotional baggage with the physical. And, in my clinical work, when I was working with a functional medical doctor, when we were doing the blood analysis on the people we were finding, gosh, in about 80% of the cases, there was some sort of emotional component to this whole thing. That was a driving force. That was causing the physical side effects.
How did you see the link, or how did that manifest in the?
Just by talking to the people.
So Paul is mainly doing blood analysis. Am I correct?
That's right.
Yeah. So let's go into that a little bit. So you're saying 80% of those people, you could see that something in the blood.
Well,
that was,
we were seeing
not looking good.
Yeah, there was a physical manifestation, like you can see, like a rational body, for instance. There's a physical manifestation of something that is, something going on in the body that's not right. You see this in the blood, but then just talking to the people and just getting a workup, a history, and often they would talk to the doctor I was working with, and just open up to her. And we would sort of see that there were, there was traumas, there were generational traumas and traumas that they were going through that were unresolved. And these were actually physically causing
issues,
physicality, and actual symptoms, bodily symptoms. And this changed my whole sort of way of looking at the medical side of things, even the alternative medical side of things, where we are looking at a broader spectrum of modalities and a way of working with people. But this really shifted me, and I said, there's something we're missing out on here, and we have to get back to what you were saying, and those burdens that we are carrying in terms of the emotions and that type of thing are key, to unburden ourselves of that. I think it's 50% of treatment, of actual medical treatment. Yeah. And there's something the medical sort of profession is just not getting right, as we can see.
Well, they're not even, they're just looking at what medicine can I give
Absolutely,
you. They're not going into the deeper issues that perhaps that person has and what they need to work through.
Absolutely. And even your alternative medical practitioners, often they don't also holistic, they talk about holistic treatments, but I think you have to put the mind, body and soul in the same picture.
Yeah, I think you're right, because they don't go into that part
They
either.
don't go into the physicality as much. So there's a part to play in each of these roles, and this is why I sort of broke away from what I was doing, and I was trying to establish a sort of way of working where we combine those three aspects, the mind, body and the spirit. And you get your practitioners that you can refer them to. You can just identify, all right, this person needs X amount of work done on an emotional component, and that will sort of flow into the physicality eventually.
And then you'd perhaps refer them.
I would refer them to a practitioner.
A practitioner of psychologist, perhaps, or whatever the case may be.
Yes, I think perhaps that's the future of medicine, or perhaps the way it should be going, where we work as a team rather than as isolated practitioner, and just handing out a script.
That makes sense. I mean, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. Hey, Russ?
Yeah, no, it really does.
That, I just like the idea of it, because I just think but also people, I suppose it's a tricky thing, because if someone comes to you and they've got an issue perhaps, and you start talking about the emotional state. Some people might not be open to that either. That's another story again.
That is, yeah. So and we did find that, when we did start probing in that area, they do put the walls up. So then,
listen, I'm not such a bad person.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with
that didn't happen to me. Yeah.
But even if I'm doing a blood analysis on somebody and I'm seeing things in the blood, they will still deny that.
Can't be.
No, it can't be.
Can't be. It's not my blood.
I can see what you've been doing, but you're still denying it. So
or even in diet, for instance, his diet maybe is just.
What are you seeing in blood?
Yeah, what are you seeing? What is?
Gosh, we look at the morphology of the blood, which the blood consists of red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and we come across various crystals and
what are platelets?
Platelets are the things that help to clot your blood.
Okay.
So if you injure yourself, and they will become sticky, and then they will clot and make all the red cells sticky, and then that forms a scab.
Okay.
So we look at the morphology, which means the shape of the red blood cells. We want them to be all nicely round and evenly spaced out, and then that's what we call normal blood. We will show the client, okay, that's what normal blood looks like, and then
this is what yours looks like.
And then we'll prick their finger. We'll display it on screen. We've got a special microscope that can attach to a computer monitor or a laptop, and then we display it for them and can show it to them, and we can say, right, I'm looking at that cell. You can see it looks different to what a normal cell looks like, and this means that. And then we have a conversation, basically. So it's a consultation conversation, and then I ask them questions. I will, based on what I'm seeing, and then I start developing a picture in my head, okay, this is where we need to focus on. You're probably doing this and this wrong, and I ask them questions, and then, that confirms what I'm suspecting.
Yeah, like you might say, there's something in your diet that's not right. Give me your diet. What do you normally eat?
Exactly, that's exactly what I would do. So if I see like a lot of acidity in the blood, for instance, it would take me directly to lifestyle and diet. So it's fizzy drinks, or we're eating a lot of junk food, fast foods. What is your diet like? That's a question I ask a million times.
I'm sure all day long that is the question.
So.
So something more like emotional. What would that kind of?
In the blood,
how would that look?
It comes
not acidic. Acidic.
No,
not necessarily.
I would see, unfortunately I haven't got charts here to show you, but
okay.
I see something called a red blood cell ring, and it shows cortisol levels. So whenever I see that, I always ask the person about their stress level.
Because this cortisol is stress related.
It's high stress level. And then obviously stress and anxiety is related to other issues as well, so we can back channel there, and we can sort of get a bit of a insight into what their sort of mental and spiritual state is like as well. I also get them to fill in a bit of a questionnaire or a chart as well, which shows up their emotional state as well. It gives them a bit better idea. And I also get them to fill in on the intake form a pain chart, where the pains are located, and that can also tell me where.
You mean the pain in the body?
Well, if there's a
like
knee
a
pain,
knee or elbow, whatever.
What is that a metaphor for?
Yeah,
in
what
terms
is that
of an emotion?
Yeah,
there's a link
it's related
to that,
for sure.
And then that gives me a better idea there, and then I can sort of send them to a practitioner to address the emotional side of things, and while I'm working on the physical side of things. So basically, a session would work like that. We would take the blood, we would display it on screen, and then I would ask a lot of questions, and then just based on the intake form, I would sort of see what their diet is like and what their lifestyle is like.
And would you make recommendations?
Then we would make recommendations. It's not a diagnostic test, so I'm not diagnosing disease, but I am pinpointing imbalances in the body. So potential upcoming imbalances, and then imbalances that are already there, that are manifested already, that are impacting the body in negative ways, or could impact the body in negative ways. And then based on that, we can make recommendations in terms of lifestyle and diet. So it's normally a few tweaks here and there, where we can just say, right, we just need to, I would send out a diet based on if I see a lot of acidity, I've got a special alkaline diet I would prescribe. And then I would say we need to take X, Y, Z supplements, and then we would look at your blood in 6 to 8 weeks, and then we would see if we see a change. I take photographs, and then I've always got a comparison. I've got a baseline to work off, and then I can compare it. The blood is very dynamic and changing, so it's a nice educational tool for the client themselves, because they can see the blood themselves. You're not getting like
it's physical.
Yeah, you're not getting
Yeah.
a number from a doctor that says your cholesterol's 5.6.
Yeah, you're actually seeing.
I'm showing you there.
Yeah.
That's what's
And
going
then,
on.
do you often see a change?
Yeah. So if the person obviously
As long as they adhere to
goes with the program,
what you
You can
recommend.
tell if they've done their homework.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. You can say, did you actually do that?
And that's very gratifying when that does happen, when somebody has put the effort in. I mean, I do a lot of corporate wellness days, and I did one for Telcom recently, and there were 3 of us doing live blood analysis at this wellness day, and this woman definitely wanted to see me, although there were some other people and I didn't know why. And she said, well, I came to you last year and you told me to do X, Y, and Z, and wow, I feel so much better, and it just felt so good. I actually made a change in somebody's life.
But did you have a comparison? Did you
obviously
see
with the wellness
not
day,
there? Yeah, unfortunately not there.
We don't have time.
But it helped her.
Yeah, so she wanted to come back and see for herself what her blood looked like, and there was a change that she could remember, and that was gratifying to see. So somebody did the work and has experienced a whole bunch of positive changes in life. Yeah, so yeah, that is gratifying. That gives me.
But so I just want to ask you, the cortisol, you must see a lot of that as well.
I do in the corporate environment,
yeah, because stress
levels, yeah, which I find a little bit problematic. I always try and let HR know you've got a problem here, with your
like
staff.
half of your sales staff are like
stressed too.
They're on a high level, yeah.
Yeah. So
but then what can they do about that? Send them to the gym. I don't know.
Well, it's a whole corporate culture,
Teach them to meditate.
Pay them more.
Pay them more.
That's not going to solve it.
That's not going to happen. No, it's not going to solve it. It's not going to solve the problem.
It's your
pressure.
staffing, the way you structuring your planning, all these type of things. I've worked in corporate. I know how it works, and how bad planning impacts people. And it's not a nice thing to see. Yeah.
Yeah, and serious deadlines and stuff like that. Yeah, I think just in general, people need to start looking, like you're saying, at diet and emotions. That in itself will make a huge impact on the general population.
Look, it's key. I mean, our technology is getting better, and our diagnostics are getting better, and our medications, got millions of medications, but are people getting better? I'm just seeing a downward trend here.
Are you?
And if we look at cancer, particularly, there's this spate of turbo cancers and autoimmune conditions, and I was seeing some weird things in the blood in the past 2 or 3 years. So
After COVID?
COVID
during
or vaccine related?
I don't know if you're allowed to talk about that on your.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
I don't want them to shadow ban you, but definitely I was seeing a definite.
We won't say which vaccine.
Yeah. There was a definite. There was something in the blood.
Something changed.
Something changed that wasn't there.
Can you see it in the blood?
I can see it in the blood.
Yeah.
So this is speculation, and this is. I can't prove anything, but a lot of practitioners that do this type of blood work have been noticing these structures in the blood. And before this whole COVID adventure, I would see 1 in 300 people. I would see this type of structure, and then during the whole rollout, it's every second person, and this was shocking for me.
That's massive, Paul.
I mean, statistically speaking,
we're talking about a big thing there.
Statistically speaking, that is massive, and I wasn't vaccinated myself, but looking at my own blood, I was getting the shedding. The shedding is a thing.
Is that an actual thing? Eh?
Dealing with people close up, because they're breathing, you touch it.
Yeah, because also in your position, in your job.
My blood looked like theirs at one stage, and which was quite concerning. And the doctor I was working for, I looked at his blood and his wife and that type of thing, and we were noticing the trend in ourselves as well, and we were getting the same sort of symptoms as well. So there was a definite pattern in the rollout, and then post-rollout we were seeing quite a bit of it. I'm seeing it tapering off now. I'm not seeing it as much now. But
so an improvement?
I don't know if it's an improvement, or or the body is just...
acclimatizing of sorts. The body's amazing. It's an amazing...
What did you do to rectify or try to rectify?
Look, there are different protocols we were using to sort of mitigate the spike protein effects on the cells. There's different protocols. We formulated our own one in tablet form, so it had a whole bunch of like glutathione and had zeolite and had various other things. We were doing that every 4 months, which I still try and do now. So just to detox myself from any potential harm, every 4 months now.
Yeah, no, I'm quite intrigued because.
No, it was shocking to see in the
just
blood.
what you're saying, the way
So
that
you can be
stats were.
affected by people that have had these.
Even though you did not take the injection yourself.
I wonder
you
how
were-
that, on some level, there's an energy coming off the person.
Look, it's both energetic and physical, so everything is energy. So,
Yeah.
but you remember we're talking about, which was the whole joke about the whole wearing a mask thing. Viral particulate is so small that it goes right through those fibers. The masks are useless.
So do you think that was a stupid thing?
It was theatre.
I must say I hated those flipping
it
things.
was absolute theatre.
I didn't enjoy them.
Viral particulate, you need a hazmat suit, you need a closed-off system.
Yeah, sealed system.
System with its own air, and then if you're sitting in close proximity to somebody that's breathing out viral particulate and spike protein in their viral particulate, you're going to breathe that in, or it's going to land on you, you're going to touch it. And
It's going to go somehow
ingest it,
absorb into your skin.
So unfortunately, a lot of us did get that as a byproduct of the whole system. But there's a lot of things we can see in blood. There's a lot of trends we can see in blood. But as I say, that definitely made an impact on us as practitioners. We were seeing something that we never saw before. And I think a lot of the morticians and the funeral home people were seeing a lot of clotting in blood that they've never seen before.
Yes.
So there's definitely there's something up, something that's...
Because
not quite right.
funny enough, a client of mine a week or so ago she had COVID for a week. She had stayed home. So it's
There
still
were cases
still floating around.
Yeah.
It's floating
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
Look, it's not a new thing. I mean, your coronaviruses are a thing, but anyway, I don't want to get into the whole politics of it.
No, we won't get into politics. No, we don't need to go there. Just more of an interested on the effects on the body, etc., and the blood. And tell me something. What kind of qualification do you have to be a blood analysis? Analysis. I don't know.
A blood analyst.
Analyst.
Well, you find the guys that do this type,
How do you even get into that, man?
you would need to obviously know a bit about the body, anatomy, physiology. Now, I got into it. I was in a medical lab for many years. I was with the blood transfusion.
But you
service.
studied something on those lines.
So I studied blood transfusion technology.
Okay.
So that's my primary area of study. So I've been dealing with blood for many years. I got into a research lab as well, where we did the tissue typing for renal transplants and organ transplanting. So I got involved with that as well. But to get involved with live blood analysis, it's normally your guys, your homeopaths, your naturopaths, guys that do alternative therapies. So it's not your mainstream.
There's no
guys.
mainstream doctors doing that. Right?
Labs know about the structures they see in the blood. They will do it on occasion, but not as a mainstream sort of test. So the way we're looking at blood, like I say, is live. It's not stained in any way. There's no preservatives or anything that we're putting on the slide to contrast it. So the red bloods, the white blood cells are still moving around. They're still alive. So that can tell us a lot. And as I say, just by looking at the morphology of the blood, we do see a lot in the body. A lot of your functional medical doctors, which is quite encouraging to see now, are sort of moving over to the side of testing. So they got 1 foot in each, each discipline.
Which is good.
Which is good.
Yeah,
So the doctor I worked with, she was excellent. I mean, we were seeing fantastic results. So she was a medical doctor, and she got involved at the functional medical side. So she would bring in all her patients to see me. We would do a live blood analysis as part of the workup. So it's not diagnostic by itself, but it forms part of the...
Okay, so part of her analysis, assessment, should I say?
Assessment, yeah. And then they gives us, just one
Yeah.
drop of blood gives us a broad.
It gives you more of an insight what's going on with that
Absolutely,
person.
yeah. So
But your general GP is not going to do that.
no.
No, we're talking about more of a specialized.
Yeah, they sort of
person.
see it as voodoo, actually,
Really?
which is quite.
It's kind of crazy.
It's quite crazy because you can see
Yeah.
such a lot. But
Yeah.
once you get a doctor to sit down with you and you say, right, X, Y, and Z, then they perk up a bit, and they. So I've had quite a few doctors that have sat with me, and then they can see the value in it.
How much water is there in blood?
I think we're looking at around about 80%. So your body is mostly water, and then the rest of the constituents, so your red blood cells, which would form up the rest of the blood volume, and then your platelets, and then your buffy layer, which composes of your white blood cells and other bits and pieces.
Because I find water quite intriguing nowadays. I don't know if you're aware of that Dr. Emoto.
I was going to talk about that because in terms of, this is the way I try and explain the whole generational trauma and physicality. Because if you look at his work, as you know, he flash froze water crystals and
put them under the microscope and saw basically the structure, but utilizing words or music or whatever the case is.
Absolutely. So so everything is frequency. So a word is frequency. A written word is frequency.
So love became a beautiful structure. We can actually even show some of that on when we play this. Just for people that don't know. Love came out super beautiful, and then anger or hatred, forever, is warped.
Yeah.
So before you carry on, I'm quite intrigued by the effect of, so if someone is, even if they're saying positive affirmations, for instance, that must be affecting the entire physical being on some level.
It is, and that's why you've got to be so careful when you talk about yourself and you say, I'm not good enough. Self-loathing,
loathing, etc.
Or somebody told you, you're stupid, and then you believe that as a belief going forward. You're constantly reinforcing, because your water has memory, and the water in your body has that memory, and you're reinforcing that all the time. And at some point, the body, the buffering mechanisms break down, and something physical will manifest. And that's what
that's got to be part of it, Paul.
What you said,
it has to be part of it.
Absolutely key.
Yeah.
Absolutely key.
Yeah.
The body is mostly water. Water retains memory in its crystalline structure, and you've got to be very careful with what you put into that body, be it food, beverages, be it electromagnetic frequencies, 5G, 4G, and also words and thoughts. Because
there's so much going on. I mean, think about it. Our lives. So we've got Wi-Fi running through here. You've got pollution in the air. You've got pollution in the water. Well, a lot of chemicals in the water, etc. I mean, there's so much stuff going on. But I think if you can, on some level, have a positive effect on your body from an emotional and a mental aspect, that's also going to assist you.
Yeah, it has to be. It has to cover all those areas. So we have to look at the body as a physical organism. We have to feed it properly. We also have to feed the soul properly. We have to feed the mind properly.
Yeah.
And if we do that in combination, then you're going to be healthy. But I think some people just train the body, but they're not training the soul.
Yeah, they go to gym and their bodies are beautiful and strong or whatever the case is, but they're not doing any of the other work. Or they're just pumping it full of bulking diet, which isn't necessarily healthy.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, we had someone interesting in here a few weeks ago, and we were talking about structured water. And she was talking about the structure, that fruit has got structured water within fruit. The water that comes out of taps is not structured water, obviously. What about structured water? Do you know much about that, Paul?
Look, I'm not an expert on structured water, but the water that you're finding in your streams and in nature is going through it's whirling around
it's spiraling, it's twisting,
and that's structuring your water.
Is that what structures it?
That's what structures it.
Okay.
So you need some sort of vortex that creates the structure.
Yeah.
And you find most of your water coming out of the taps is not structured like you say.
No.
It's sort of dead, you know. And,
Yeah.
so you want some sort of mechanism whereby you can put that structure back into the water. So
Because and she was actually a fruitarian, so
Yeah.
she just ate
Eats
fruit,
fruit, yeah.
which was quite interesting. And so what she believed is that, well, in her understanding, I don't think it's scientifically proven, is that the structured water, it was something to do with the structure within the lymph system, this crystalline water, the water structure that runs through your lymph. Only structured water can purify it, or whatever the case is. I don't know. It was her opinion. It must play a role.
Yeah.
So I think if you're drinking structured water, it would definitely affect your physical body in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are some devices you can buy which actually do this.
We'll do it for your water.
Do it for your
Yeah.
water, yeah.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you've got a clean stream outside your,
That would be nice. Not the yuck guy.
not the yuck But then you're getting the natural flow of that water. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's just so much that in modern society that's kind of been just brushed aside, because people don't see water as kind of a living thing, which it is. It's a living thing because it sustains us, but it's also got memory.
Yeah.
Which only really they've discovered recently, haven't they? I mean, with the moto, etc. Now other people are researching that kind of thing.
Yeah, a lot of we just don't know what we don't know. A lot of people, they really just don't know what they don't know yet. And if they did, I think they would do a lot about it. But yeah, there's just with energy and frequency, that there's just so much to it that we don't understand yet. And we're just beginning now, with quantum physics and that and as quantum physics and spirituality are sort of bridging that gap, we're sort of understanding things a bit better. So we can put things into sort of abstract concepts into more sort of scientific language, which we can sort of understand a bit better in the Western way. The Eastern mind works a bit differently to the Western mind.
Yeah.
But I think the Western mind sort of works at a more analytical level, so we can understand it in a more sort of quantum physics sort of way. But there's such a lot of things we've done, and the subtle interplays between these energies that we don't understand yet, and especially in medicine.
I think on the way forward, there's going to be so many new discoveries.
It's got to be.
It's got to be.
It's got to be a total paradigm shift in the way we treat people, the way we treat ourselves, the way we think.
And if you think about it, at school, from a school level, they should already be teaching, how to deal with emotions and
Absolutely.
how to. You can imagine that,
Absolutely.
like, as you grow up in life, and then by the time you leave school, you're like, okay, now to deal with releasing emotions, etc., and I understand the effects on my body.
Yeah.
There will just be less ill people. Absolutely. But maybe in the medical society, they want more sick people, because that's how they make money, these guys, man.
We make jokes about it, but I don't think you're far off there. A healthy person is not good for business.
Yeah, it's still business,
the bottom line,
if your car doesn't break, you ain't going to get another one,
The pharmaceutical industry, they don't like it when you find cures for things, because it takes away your whole client base, I think we live in an industrialized sort of mindset where we pump our children through these initiation schools on how to be better little robots, little worker bees, and we're not teaching them these things like mindfulness. And imagine if they taught us the meditation.
It would make a big difference.
Instead of accountancy and what I learned at school, which I've never used algebra. But if they taught me to meditate and sort of get out of my head for a bit, that would have been
that's a big
vastly
deal.
more.
But I think part of the problem is, and if we start thinking about the thinking, and the majority, and we've spoken about this before in the shows, and I believe, and I know from my experience, is that the majority of people suffering is mental suffering.
It is, yeah.
Mental suffering is the real issue, is the mental suffering, constant mind spinning, stories all day long, etc. And those stories, when you start believing those things, that impacts your entire physical being.
Absolutely.
Like, it'll bring your energy down, or it'll lift you up, just with maybe a comment from someone or whatever the case may be, or someone cuts you off in the highway and now it's brought this rage out of you, you want to go kill somebody. I mean, that's all that cortisol and stress or whatever getting thrown into your entire system. Now, if we, like through mindfulness, it becomes more aware that you don't believe, stop believing every thought that comes into your head. That's already a start. Because the problem is that people believe that those thoughts, they're all real, and they're not real. They're stories that are spinning.
Absolutely.
We are the silence, we are stillness behind the thoughts. And once you discover the stillness, then you only start realizing that you aren't the thoughts.
Absolutely.
But it's a process, that.
It is a process. And that's the very subtle thing that you get your head around, or get your head out of the way of.
Or get your head out of the way of.
Out of the way of, because people say, well, change your thinking. And I always say to them, well, you can't, because thinking is spontaneous.
You can't really control it. It's just
thoughts
spontaneous.
Like clouds.
Exactly. It's happening all the time.
The only thing that you can do is not attach yourself to that thought.
Yeah.
And then the emotion comes with that attachment, and you've got to try. And if it does, okay, well, it's a good thing. Then you can unplug it if you can trace it to its source and say, okay, you don't have any hold over me anymore. You've unplugged you now.
Yeah.
So whenever that thought comes up again, you calm about it. So this whole thinking thing, you are the witness thinking behind this whole thing.
You're behind the thoughts,
And unfortunately, this world, I think, is designed to draw us into the story of this avatar, and that you become, you think that you are this thing.
Yeah, you believe you are.
You are these thoughts, and these are my thoughts, and you own this thing, and you own the story of who you are.
I had that thought.
I had.
And you're like, I own that thought.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, where did it even come from? Who knows where it came from?
Yeah.
It's just they're floating around,
And this speaks into free will. It speaks into all sorts of things. You can get quite abstract when you think about that type of thing. If you're not that, then what are you? This thing behind this thing. And what is that?
What is that?
What is that? And what's the purpose of that?
Is that
and why,
consciousness? Is that what is it?
What is it?
You can't. And you know what the thing is. And I think, and for me, one of the biggest shifts for me was when you realize you don't know. And you just accept that is how it is without trying to flip and figure it out. Because humans cannot figure out God, if you want to call it God. It's impossible. It's so beyond our comprehension. And I think the sooner we would realize that, and it's humbling at the end of the day, because we are actually just, I see us as an expression of life, of God, whatever's coming through is expressing through us. We aren't really in control of what's going on in our lives in a control sense. Food for thought.
So is there free will? Yeah.
Is there free will?
Yeah.
But what is the
What
purpose?
is free will? I don't know. What is that? What does that mean?
What is the purpose of this whole
Yeah.
experience? Why would consciousness want to experience things in this way? And like you say, when you try and intellectualize it, it goes through the various filters of the mind, and by the time it comes out, it's not what it was.
It's a whole other story again.
Even the people that have had these awakening experiences still have to filter it through the mind in some way or form in order to put it into some sort of words. Not that the experience wasn't mind altering and absolutely
But to express it is different. It's difficult to express it.
It's very difficult. And that's sort of been my quest, though, the whole thing, to sort of try and get beyond that mind egoic apparatus, to sort of get behind the scenes, to see who the wizard is that is, the Wizard of Oz there, that is creating things with these smoke and mirrors,
Because, there's an interesting guy, I don't know if you've heard of this guy. His name's Andrew Newberg.
Yeah.
He's a neuroscientist. And you can find him on YouTube. He's hell of interesting, actually. And so he did tests on people, on their brains, with all the little, I don't know, probes or whatever. They've got those things on their heads.
Yeah.
So it would be, so when someone was prior to awakening and after awakening. And it showed how people started operating out of more the frontal lobes and not the, the back lobes, which is more the fear, etc. And then the interesting thing is, once that had happened, it doesn't reverse. It becomes a permanent shift. And then people operate permanently from a new perspective.
Yeah.
And so he's done tests on it. It's quite amazing. And what he put it down to, and I agree with him, is a daily spiritual practice. So it could be meditation, it could be prayer, whatever, I don't know, other things people are into. But a daily practice, and I would say a daily practice that includes a level of awareness. Not just, because you can just meditate for 20 years, but if you're not aware of these thoughts spinning around your head and your reactions and your issues that you're having, etc., it's not going to, the shifts aren't going to come as quick as they should.
I think your ultimate test in this life, if you can do that while living in this world and sort of not get stressed out at Christmas dinner with your family, and not get them to push your buttons, then you've achieved something.
Then you've got somewhere.
And you're driving in traffic and that guy cutting you off.
Yeah.
If he's not affecting you, you've achieved something. And if you can be in that moment, it's all fine and well sitting in a cave in Tibet, where you have none of these people pushing your buttons. It's fine. It is what it is. But if you can do it while you're living in life, I think that's
certainly
the boss level.
It's more challenging. Boss level, exactly. You're not sitting meditating all day, just eating a bowl of rice.
Yeah, and
you're dealing with a whole other lot of factors.
And it's constantly dragging your sort of attention back from that thought and what's happening, back into that space of, just distance and calmness. I think that's what the Buddhists talk about, non-attachment all the time. It's just non-attached to that thought all the time.
All day long.
All day long. You have to, because
sure.
we are so indoctrinated and so programmed to sort of attach ourselves to that all the time. And I think that's been one of my downfalls. That's why it's taken me so damn long to sort of get to this understanding. Is because
it's all that it's place. It's all that it's place.
Stepping stones as well. So if things hadn't happened in a certain way, I don't suppose I would have been where I'm at now.
And then you figure out eventually that thing you've been seeking for.
It's already there. And
it's already there. It's already the
biggest cosmic joke.
That's the funny. That's the catch-22.
And you want to laugh and cry at the same time.
And you're like, Scheepers, for 20 years I've been chasing this thing that's already That's the craziest part of it. And then that's the magic of it, actually.
About chasing something is you're confirming that you don't have it.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, you're confirming now you don't have it, but you do have it.
You're reinforcing it.
You're reinforcing it, by constantly chasing it. So if you slowly step back.
Yeah. And that happened to me in a very profound way because I was a voracious reader. I mean, I've been reading 3 books at the same time, and I've been looking at this modality and this ism and this philosophy and looking for everything, and trying to get my head around this whole thing. And I was at that point into Taoism, and I thought I had everything sort of worked out at that point. And I was minding my own business the one day, and we had this online discussion forum, and some guys were talking about this non-duality, and I'd never come across this before. And I started looking into this, and I fell down, it wasn't a rabbit hole, but I felt it was so self-evident to me at that point that everything stopped from 60 to 0. Everything stopped. I couldn't read anymore. I was reading like 3 books at a time. I couldn't read a paragraph anymore. Everything stopped. The whole search stopped. It was so self-evident to me. And, from that point on, everything shattered. My, all the beliefs and concepts.
So it was a big shift. That's a big shift,
Paul. It was absolutely mind-blowing. And from that point on, that wasn't the end of it. I mean,
no, for sure. But it was one of the steps.
That was the beginning.
Yeah.
Where you realize, it's not out there. It's not what you think it is. And all the things you've been chasing. Well, that's been a joke. They're 30 years of chasing. Ha, ha, ha. Anyway, not so funny, but...
funny, but not too much.
I'm not laughing now, but not at the time. But I think that it's totally liberating to be in that space of no foundation anymore. That's fantastic.
But if someone had told you that
No,
5 years
yeah.
prior, you'd been like, shut up.
And it's not something you want to tell somebody either.
No, you should, and you can't.
And you say, well, if you really want to experience something, you have to do this and this and that, and you might experience this and that, and it's not going to be pleasant. I mean, I cried my eyes out for 3 days recently, did sort of an ego death type of thing. And
But you felt better afterwards? Or did you
I've
not
got a
feel
different
better?
perspective now of, I can sort of see the way the ego works and how self-serving it is and that type of thing. So it gives you a much broader perspective. Which was another wake-up call. And so it's given me another shift. I've moved, I looked in another area now, and hopefully that's not going to be the end of it. But yeah. So little by little, these things happen. They're not always pleasant, but they certainly are liberating. Yeah.
And it's powerful.
It is very powerful.
Yeah.
But you're willing to do the shadow work.
Yeah.
You're willing to look in that direction.
I'd say you have to do the shadow work. And I was talking to you earlier, and I said a lot of people sort of do the spiritual bypassing, whereby they just want to look at the love and light aspect of the thing, and they don't want to look at anything negative or look in Pandora's box, where I've been sort of knee deep in filth here, unpacking.
But you've got to go into that stuff.
You have to.
I did the same thing. The stuff came out, and you also got. It's about brutal honesty.
You have to be honest.
You got to be so honest, because the ego mind just wants to like, oh, no. I portray this perfect image, whatever the case may be, but there's so much stuff there that just needs to be dealt with, or just not even. And it's not even a question about knowing the why. It's a question of feeling it and allowing it to come
Just
out.
to come out,
To release it. It's not like, oh, when I was 5 years old, my dad smacked me. That's all bullshit. Those are just stories. It's about going into the emotion and crying it out, getting it out. And once it's out, I used to feel transformed. It would I'd go and bawl for an hour and come out, and I'm like, I tell my family, I'm like, listen, don't come into this room. And I would flip and bawl for an hour.
It's going to be ugly.
It's going to be ugly. And I'd find a song that would just get me going, and just play the same flipping song over and over and over until all that stuff was out. And then I'd come out, then I'd be like, I'd be kind of drained, but I'd be feeling so much lighter.
Absolutely.
That shit's just
What are you
been
listening
lifted.
to? Mariah Carey?
Russell, I'm not really a Mariah kind of guy.
I agree with you. Music has been my savior.
You know what I'd listen to? No, so this is, someone got me onto this. And you viewers out there, I don't know, I was more into alternative music when I grew up, rock music and stuff. And this one mate of mine was like, Radiohead, play Radiohead was one of the
Creep.
bands. But on that album, there were a couple of songs that were just flipping. So there was such emotion in that. So I was ball would flip my eyes out. And then I'd have maybe, also even sometimes a bit of Bob Marley or something like it would play, and I'm not crying. And it was another one as a big one. Even some Pearl Jam, a few of those kind of bands. Not like, no Mariah Carey, Russ. That wasn't happening. But maybe Sinead O'Connor. That was one. Yeah, but that kind of stuff, and I felt that would bring those emotions out, and maybe even anger. It could have brought anger out, just.
So music was your savior.
Also,
it has been my savior throughout my life. It's only been the sort of thing I could hold on to because I understood it. Music made me understood me.
What kind of thing? You say you also like Radiohead.
What do you mean by understand? What do you mean?
I talk about resonance a lot, which is very
more
abstract.
Frequency stuff.
No, not frequency stuff, but I talk about, I feel a resonance sort of affinity for something, and it just speaks to me in some way. So some songs speak to me in a certain way, and like you say, you play it 20 times, I'm the same thing. I get onto something and I'll play it 50 times, and then that just speaks to me for that.
Yeah, it's like something's talking to you on some level.
Yeah, and then I can let that go, and then, fantastic, and like you say, and then it's that huge release, and... you've got a different dynamic. I suppose you're married, that type of thing. I live on my own, so I'm constantly in my own head, so it's a bit more difficult for me to verbalize it to another person.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's my outlet, is my music, where I can just sort of cry into that, or, do whatever I need to do. And where other people can talk to other people, but also depends on what you're talking about. A lot of people don't understand what the hell you're talking about, and which I find very difficult as well when you're talking about abstraction and sort of spirituality and these ego deaths and non-duality and these type of things. People don't have sort of a reference point for any of
Yeah,
this
when you
stuff.
can't go speak to the average oak about
I
that.
can't. I can speak
crazy.
to like 5 people in the world, that can understand me,
Yeah.
So it's sometimes that's a little bit.
But I'll be
lonely.
honest, I don't really talk about it either.
You
I
don't?
don't. No. Those days I just balled it out. I don't share my stuff with people. I used to have there was a time when I'd like, you're trying to like, when you're so excited, you're like,
Yeah.
stuff's happened. I've had this fucking experience, excuse my language, this experience. I'm so excited. And you like share the stuff with people. And then what I've realized is maybe in those moments, you're excited and it's exciting and stuff has happened. But on some level, you're trying to portray what's happened and maybe change them to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Now, I'd rather step back. And if they want some advice or whatever, there's no problem. But I'd rather step back and just like, they've got their own journey.
Absolutely. There's
And,
no generic template.
and respect their journey.
Yeah.
Respect it.
I find a lot of people are very judgmental if you do actually put your heart on the sleeve and sort of say something. Then they don't understand where you're coming from, but they'll try and advise you. So, haven't you done that? Well, no, that's low-hanging fruit, Gosh, why didn't I think about that 20 years ago, type of thing, But a lot of people don't have the capacity to understand what you're going through, and like you say, you just have to keep your own counsel sometimes, and just. So and I think that's such a privilege to talk to somebody like yourself who understands these type of things, because that's resonance for me. That's where I get my joy from.
I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to share one last thing with you. Something that touches my heart. So now, one of my biggest shifts that I had was I was seeing judgment. Not just judgment swearing at people, but there's a level of judgment within us that's judging everything around. It's like around every corner. That car's got a scratch, or this got that, and this, whatever. It's just like this person, I don't like his energy, and you're judging him, stuff like that. But it's all the time. And if you really go into it, it's like there all the time. It's not just big judgments. We're talking about small, little, stupid things, but they're there, okay? So it's just this little judgmental little chirp that's coming through all the time. So you know what I started doing? Every time I saw it, I sent it love from my heart. Every time. It became it was like a religion almost. Yeah. And this went on for a couple of days. Well, at first it went for quite a while to get into that. But near the end, it was a few days. Every flipping time, I sent it love. And I visualized it, and I felt it coming. And every time, it just dissipated. Immediately. Like on its own. And eventually got to a place where it just stayed away. No more. And that just shows you the power that can come through your heart.
You see, a lot of the judgments we have about the world and other people around us, it's just a mirror of ourselves. So it's sort of touching something within ourselves that we're reacting to.
Yeah, exactly.
And what you've done there is fantastic. By giving it love, you're giving yourself that love.
And you're right. You're giving yourself that love. I never thought about it like that, actually, Paul.
And then you don't have to have these judgments anymore because it's not affecting you.
It's not affecting you.
And the mind is an operating system, so it has to categorize everything, and that's what it does, but what you're doing there is you're sort of short-circuiting that whole process. Yeah, you're kind of
cutting that process out.
Which is a fantastic thing if you can do that mindfully every day. I mean, wow.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
It takes a lot of awareness to do that. Yeah. But if you had to take, even tomorrow you take a day, or even tonight driving home,
10 minutes a day.
Become aware of those little things. And eventually, I promise you, it's transformative.
Absolutely.
It's such an internal shift that it happened. And then they don't come back anymore. You don't have judgments anymore. You flatten them. And if there is one, it's like maybe it's not here. It's like in the distance somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, it's not such a impactful thing on your like essence in a sense.
Yeah.
You know, but I think everyone's got it. Everybody has got that. But once you've worked something, once they've suddenly disappeared, you're like,
now you see,
there's a burden that has been dropped, eh?
That's the real work. What you're describing, that's the real work. It's not sitting in a lotus position somewhere.
No. Yeah, for like 5 days.
This is the real work that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And, if people can just comprehend that it's these small things and the kind gesture, and you can change somebody's life just by smiling at them.
Yeah.
That butterfly effect.
You're right. Just a good morning.
Just a good morning, and you can have absolute unbelievable impact on the ripple effect. What you're doing there, wow.
I just wanted to share.
I think you are quite inspirational in that you've been able to do that, and you realised and you've seen the difference.
Yeah, it was massive, Paul. It was a couple of years ago now, but that was it was a big one.
Yeah.
It was a biggie. That was a. It sounds like it's not a biggie, but it's a biggie.
Absolutely.
A very biggie.
Because that mind is working the whole time.
It's a big one.
It's judging and it's categorizing the whole flipping time.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it. And a lot of the time, as I say, those people are your mirrors, and it's all been directed to yourself, and you're not realizing
But
this.
I think it's done in innocence. Your
It
mind
is.
trying to
It's not like
It's not.
it's out of some kind of
It's not evil or malice. It's like you say,
malicious thing. It's just part of how we learn. It's part of how we grow.
It's your operating system keeping you safe. That's what it is. And there's nothing wrong with it, but when that takes over our life too much and not the other way around, that becomes a problem. And that's where the suffering
unbalanced,
comes in.
I think, in that sense. So
so we have to get, where if we can all do that every day, wow. I mean, we could make such an impact. Yeah. Well done.
Thank you, Paul. Man, listen, if you've got any websites or anything, you must put it, send it to us, Paul.
I'll send you some cards.
For your work stuff at least.
Yeah.
That's.
I work with a lady
blood analysis
in Boksburg. We've got we do different modalities as well. We do craniosacral therapy, body talk. We do rife therapy. We do all sorts of things.
Okay.
So I'll let you.
Just for interest.
Okay.
And then if there's anything else you want to send, maybe some pictures of good blood, bad blood, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah,
wouldn't that be interesting, Russ?
It would be.
Yeah.
I'll send you that, and
like
I'll send
or
you
a mini clip of it, like little things running around and moving, and I don't know.
I can do that with pleasure, with absolute pleasure. Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paul, it's been lovely having you here.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
For the invite.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Russell, thank you.
Cheers.
No, it's been insightful. Thank you, Paul. Yeah. Like and subscribe. Now.
Ring the icon.
Immediately. That was actually really nice, Paul. I don't know. I had a feeling the other day we were going to have a nice one.
Well, I don't know if you got anything out of it.